Have you ever glanced in the mirror and noticed a diagonal crease on your earlobe, only to brush it off as just another sign of getting older? What if that single line was actually a quiet signal from your heart and brain asking for attention? Today, we're diving into the science behind a remarkable physical sign that doctors have been studying for over 50 years, and what it might mean for your long-term health. The story begins in 1973 when American physician Dr. Sanders T. Frank first observed something unusual. While examining patients with heart disease, he noticed a striking pattern. Many of them shared a diagonal crease, running at roughly a 45-degree angle across the earlobe. He published his findings, and ever since, researchers around the world have been investigating what became known as Frank's sign, or the diagonal earlobe crease. So why would a skin fold on your ear have anything to do with your heart or brain? The answer lies in a fascinating structural connection inside your body. The earlobe is supplied by what are called end arteries, tiny blood vessels with no backup routes. If they become blocked, there is no alternative pathway to deliver blood. Crucially, the coronary arteries supplying your heart and the small vessels in your brain share this exact same end artery structure. When these vessels begin to age or deteriorate, elastic fibers and collagen that support them break down. Microscopic tissue studies of earlobes showing Frank's sign have found reduced elastic fibers and signs of microvascular change. In simple terms, the crease forms because the tissue loses its internal support as vessels weaken, and this process may be happening simultaneously in the heart and brain. Now let's look at what the research actually shows. Among the most compelling evidence comes from autopsy studies. In a review of 520 forensic autopsy cases, the diagonal earlobe crease was identified as a strong, independent risk factor for coronary artery disease, with a sensitivity of 75% and a positive predictive value of 68%. In a separate study of 165 autopsy cases, the grade of Frank's sign correlated significantly with both coronary artery disease severity and the degree of generalized atherosclerosis. Notably, among the 50 cases where death was directly related to a cardiac event, 78% showed a high-grade earlobe crease. Research published in the American Journal of Medicine further found that patients with a unilateral crease carried a relative risk of 1.33 for a cardiac event, rising to 1.77 when the crease appeared on both sides. The connection extends to the brain as well. In January 2026, a research team from a major Korean academic medical center published findings in the international journals, Scientific Reports and the Journal of Clinical Medicine, using an AI model to analyze three-dimensional brain MRI scans, which happened to capture the earlobes in the same image. The team found that among patients with a hereditary small vessel brain disease called CADASIL, those with Frank's sign had roughly 4.2 times higher odds of showing the crease, even after adjusting for age. More strikingly, patients with Frank's sign showed white matter lesion volumes approximately 1.7 times larger than those without the crease. When patients were divided into three groups by lesion burden, the rate of Frank's sign increased steadily from 37% in the mildest group to 66.7% in the middle group, and 74.1% in the most severe group. The lead researcher stated that this provided scientific evidence that Frank's sign reflects not simply aging, but the actual degree of hereditary small vessel brain damage. Before you rush to the mirror, there is an important balance to strike here. The presence of Frank's sign does not mean you have heart disease or are about to have a stroke. Some research, particularly in diabetic populations, has found the association weakens when age is carefully controlled. Earlobes can also develop creases from sleeping positions, piercings, skin aging, or genetics. What Frank's sign offers is context. When it appears alongside other established risk factors, such as high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, diabetes, smoking, or a family history of cardiovascular disease, it becomes a meaningful additional signal worth discussing with your doctor. Researchers consistently emphasize that Frank's sign should be evaluated as a supplementary indicator, alongside a full cardiovascular risk assessment, not as a standalone diagnosis. Here is how to check for yourself. In good lighting, look at the lower soft portion of your ear, the earlobe. A Frank's sign crease runs diagonally, at approximately 45 degrees from the front center of the earlobe, toward the outer lower edge. A meaningful crease typically extends at least 1/3 of the width of the earlobe and has noticeable depth. Shallow skin folds from sleep or aging-related skin loosening are different in character. Bilateral creases, meaning both ears, carry stronger associations with cardiovascular risk than a crease on one side only. If you do notice a prominent diagonal crease, here are practical steps to take. The first and most important is not to panic. Instead, treat this as motivation to review your cardiovascular risk profile. Book a checkup that includes blood pressure, fasting blood sugar, and a full cholesterol panel. If you have not had these checked within the past year, now is a sensible time. Second, speak honestly with your doctor about what you have observed. They can decide whether imaging such as a carotid artery, ultrasound, or cardiac evaluation is appropriate based on your overall risk picture. Third, use this moment as a prompt to strengthen the daily habits that directly support vascular health. These include reducing sodium and saturated fat in your diet, eating oily fish like salmon or mackerel twice a week, exercising for at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week at moderate intensity, quitting smoking if you currently smoke, managing stress through regular relaxation practices, and aiming for 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. These are not dramatic interventions. They are consistent, evidence-based practices that help preserve the elasticity and integrity of blood vessels over time. A practical 7-day starting plan looks like this. On day 1, check both earlobes and pull out your last health check results to review your blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol. On day 2, cut sodium in your meals by having soup, broth intake, and add a 15-minute walk after dinner. On day 3, include a serving of oily fish at one meal. On day 4, begin measuring your blood pressure morning and evening, and record the readings. On day 5, complete a 30-minute walk combining brisk and moderate pace. On day 6, replace processed snacks with a small handful of walnuts or almonds, and reduce screen time before bed. On day 7, review your blood pressure. Log and schedule your next health check if it is overdue. If readings consistently exceed 140/90 mm of mercury, consult a doctor promptly. One final thought. The earlobe crease is not a verdict. It is a conversation starter between you and your body. The earlier you listen, the more options you have. Cardiovascular disease develops quietly over years, but the lifestyle factors that protect your vessels are available to you right now, today. If this video helped you see something you had overlooked, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more evidence-based health content, and leave a comment below if you have questions or your own experience to share. Your next health check may be the most important appointment you make this year.